Hey, we're talking about Obi-Wan, up next on Geek Out SA.
Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun. Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there. Having so much fun.
Yeah, so we're talking about Obi-Wan today.
Finally.
10,000 years later.
I know. I'm like, it's already season 2 is premiering.
We
and
had
it-
guests. We had guests.
Season 2, which is really just Boba Fett Season 2, which is really Obi-Wan Season 3.
Which is really Mandalorian season 4.
Yep. My God, I hate it.
As long as
Anyway.
it doesn't become a crossover with, like, you know, the Scarlet Witch or something, we're okay.
It's going to be the old TGI Friday lineup back in the day. Pretty good.
So Obi-Wan.
He broke her. Obi-Wan.
What
So you're
about it?
very
I'm very not here today, people, so,
no,
yeah.
very not here today.
I think I told y'all last week I fell down the stairs. The mattress pushed me. She's an evil bee. And then
No, that just happened this week.
No, that was,
No, that was last
Friday.
week.
Was it last week?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
'cause
I was
Phoenix was
wrapped
here.
up when Phoenix got here.
That's right.
Yep. So that's healing well. I mean, the toes are a little purple, but the bruise is looking great, actually. You can hardly see it anymore. It's doing good. So I'm great, right? So then I went to my brother's for the 4th of July because he has a glorious swimming pool because he likes to spend ridiculous amounts of money. And I'm okay with that because I get to reap all the benefits.
Mhm.
And I forgot I was white. Yeah. So that happened. And we were swimming, and it was so much fun. And it's out there in, like, the Lacoste Castroville area, so there's not as much heat because there's not as much asphalt and everything, and it's, like, really grassy and trees, and so the wind was blowing, and it was cooler.
Oh, but it was hot.
It was hot, but not as hot as it is here in the city, in my opinion. It seemed nice and cool, and we were relaxing in the pool, and we were chatting, and then before you know it, I'm a lobster.
Lobster.
Mhm.
We didn't turn a lobster till the next day. So
The next day I was lobster. But then, yeah, I've been, like, basically sick from sun poisoning all week. And, yeah. So today I was like, oh, I'm just going to go take a little nap.
So we've been meaning to talk about this for a long time.
He says this.
And
Well, I've been bugging him to talk about this for a whole
you've
for a
been
long
bugging me to do it. I've been wanting to do it from the get-go, but we just happened to have some guests on.
Which was
and-
nice.
Yeah,
it's
it was
to
nice
have
to have
guests
guests
and
in.
have people here to talk to.
but
But I've been chomping at the bit to talk about Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, come on. I'm sure everybody out there hated it because I thought it was great and I loved it. And because if you're a Star Wars fan, you
because
hated it
I
because you're a
guess
Star
you
Wars
can
fan.
tell if you're looking behind Colleen that we like Star Wars
Just a little.
lot.
It's a tiny bit. It's just a little Star Wars thing.
I couldn't tell.
You couldn't tell.
No.
See, Aaron didn't even know we liked it until
Nah.
we just told him. So,
I've never pictured it.
but we like a lot about Star Wars, and I am one of the few people on the planet that really enjoyed movies 1, 2, and 3. I really liked that look at Anakin becoming Darth Vader. I really liked seeing, you know, what they had to say about taking him because he was so old and the attachments that he had to his mother.
Right.
And we, some friends of mine had read some of the books long ago, and they had told me about the scene where his mother gets taken by the Sand People, and he goes and he tells Obi-Wan, I killed them all, the children, the women, like that. That's our first glimpse at how ruthless he can be. When he feels like somebody he loves has been hurt,
Yeah.
right? And so I thought movies 1, 2, and 3 did a really good job of showing him grow those attachments to Padme,
As
showing
almost dead.
him.
Yep.
Huh?
2 seconds.
There's no sound.
About to be no sound. I checked everyone else's, but this one. Ha ha ha. Okay. Come on. That's what I get for trying to rush. good. You're good.
And we're back.
Helps if I checked my own batteries. Checked everything else.
So I was saying I really enjoyed the way they showed like his connection to Padme and how he couldn't
Right.
let her go, and you know, people had problems with his acting, but Hayden Christensen's acting,
Right.
but I didn't, because I felt like he acted the way he was supposed to. Right? He's supposed to be conflicted. He's supposed to have like this kind of stunted growth where he hasn't grown emotionally properly. He doesn't know how to deal with his own emotions and everything. He has all this power within him, because he has a great deal of power within him, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, how to control it, how to use it for what he considers is good. And then he has this kind of conflict of conscience about, oh, well, I was told all this time that this is what is good and right, but now somebody else is telling me something different, and I kind of feel like they're right? I feel like the Jedi Council is, like, pushing their agenda on everybody and doing all this stuff, and maybe they're not as good as they think they are.
And ultimately, that's why they failed.
Right. So I never had a problem with movies 1 through 3, and I think you enjoyed them as well, right? You and I both enjoyed them, and I think we saw different movies than other people saw. We saw this epic
but
saga
we got
story
to
of
see
Anakin,
a younger
Darth-
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Darth
Obi-Wan-
Vader and Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan
Kenobi
Kenobi.
that then led us to the Clone Wars. So now they're giving us Ewan McGregor, which thank God, right? They got him to come back and be Obi-Wan, because
Right.
he is Obi-Wan, right? They brought Hayden Christensen back just for some little cameos, but to kind of show us some of that back stuff. And so for me, I felt like we really got a good connection. We get little Leia, so she's the new Grogu, basically.
Right.
Which is okay. You know what? If you need a little kid to help run the franchise and to keep selling me some Star Wars stuff, I'll take it. Right? But she was fantastic. Just so fierce, so cute, you know. And it's so sad when he's looking at her, because he was there, you know, Ben was there when she was born.
Yeah.
And he knew Padme and he knew Anakin and he loved both of them. And he's looking at Leia like, you know, his heart is broken. And I thought Ewan McGregor
And he can't
just,
even, like, he doesn't even, they can't tell her.
No, right. He can't tell her, because that puts
Yeah.
her in ultimate danger. But you could see his heart breaking. And I just thought his acting was superb in all of this. He didn't have to say things. He did more with his body language and facial expressions, which I think is an aspect of Obi-Wan, right? He is kind of that quieter teacher. He's more actions speak louder than words, right? And so you see the times when he's thinking and he gets those expressions on his face. So I thought they did a really good job with that as well. That spoke to me.
What really spoke to me is how he pulled himself away from the Force, and you saw that right at the beginning, because the last we see him, or one of the last times we see him before he drops off Luke, is Yoda tells him about how to commune with the Jedi that are dead. So how to commune with your master, and he's still all through that time. What was it? 10 years.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to contact Qui-Gon
Right.
all that time. And the cool thing is Qui-Gon had a cameo in this, and Liam Neeson came and did it, and he was like, "How could I not do it?
Yeah.
How could I not be that guy?
How could I not?"
Well, and then you have to take... It's nice to see how strong Obi-Wan is with the Force as well. You get to
Right.
see him grow back into what he was. And if you've watched the Clone Wars, I think it helps to have watched the Clone Wars as well, right? If you've seen movies 1, 2, and 3, that's great, and that gives you some of this because it gives you the actors. But to have seen Clone Wars as well, where they're cartoons and you don't get to see them, but you do see them because the cartoon renderings of them are pretty darn close, right?
Yeah.
You know, he and Anakin have been through war together, you know? And Obi-Wan has been an integral part of this war and kind of a general, and, you know, so you can imagine that this poor man, has PTSD pretty much, right?
Right.
you know, what he did to Anakin, he did not want to do, and we get to see that scene in Obi-Wan where
Mhm.
he is beside himself, telling Anakin like that was not what I wanted. When we saw him in the movie, and he's like, "Don't do this, Anakin. You know the outcome. I know the outcome, but it's gonna be what it has to be if that's where you go."
Yeah.
Like he warned him, but he still loves him. That was his brother. They were together all that time. He watched
Mhm.
Anakin grow. He helped raise Anakin. They fought side by side. So I was glad that for this story they brought Vader in. They brought Anakin in.
And it was so cool when Vader came in and when Obi-Wan sees him. Just you saw like the terror in his face, just like, what have I done?
Right, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know that Anakin has survived.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know that they've turned him into this quasi machine. And he's like, "What do you mean?" Like, we find out in the Obi-Wan show that he didn't really know that Anakin has become Darth Vader. And so this is a first for him, finding this out and really seeing the lengths that Anakin has gone to and the lengths that the Emperor has gone to keep Anakin and to keep his power in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
and it really gets you thinking about how things happen in Episode 4. When we see Obi-Wan old and that interaction that they have with that. And I really like the remake that they did of the lightsaber fight, if you've seen that, which is really cool on YouTube. They redid it with like a couple of actors and they cut it into the same scenes, but they made it how they would actually have.
Yeah, it was quite the epic battle. It's one of my favorite
battle.
remakes on YouTube. Is you really get to see Anakin and Ben go throughout the whole place, and they are just going at each other with lightsabers. Ben is like, "Old be damned! Like, you're not coming for me and these kids, right?" So it's nice if you've
It's
seen
not
that.
just the up, up, down, down. It's not that
It's
same.
not that at all.
No.
It's the aggressive Vader that we get in Obi-Wan, which you and I were both really glad that they gave us. They really gave us an aggressive Anakin in the Obi-Wan series.
Well, they gave us the powered Anakin that's been in all of the comic books and all of the books that was written beforehand. It's not canon now, but they gave us that Vader that showed how powerful Vader actually is.
Yeah, and so that was nice to see because he's extremely powerful.
I don't think we've seen him as strong as he can be.
No, I don't think that they had the movie magic or the know-how maybe, and they didn't do the fight scenes as well back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s the way they do now. So obviously we've come a long way.
Right.
So we missed out a lot of the Vader we could have had in movies 4, 5, and 6. So I think they're kind of revisiting that and giving us the Vader that we kind of really wanted. One of my favorite parts, and I cried, I'm not even gonna lie, I cried because Anakin and Vader, one of my favorite all-time characters. Vince is more of a Luke guy, but me, it's Anakin and Vader, and that dichotomy. And so when Ben is just like beside himself and he's just in tears and he's like, "I'm sorry I did this to you, I'm sorry." And then he's like, "You didn't do this to me. I did this to myself. I killed Anakin. I am Darth." Like, Anakin was basically a wussy boy, right? With all this love and emotion and stuff, and I've killed him. And you're next, old man.
But because there's a fight between them, and I mean, Vader is strong, super strong,
like ridiculously strong.
But Ben could have taken him out. But it was just Ben could have taken him out right then and there.
Yeah.
And he feels bad because it's his brother and he didn't want to do it. So
because he's done it. Because he thought he had done it before, and I don't think he could live with himself thinking that he had done it before, so he couldn't do it this time either.
So it makes, again, I go back to episode 4, it makes you kind of like wonder, well, I see why he did what he did.
And you know in episode 4, because he looks over at the kids, and you know that he lets Vader cut him down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't have to let Vader cut him down. He could have gone toe-to-toe with him, right?
So what he was doing, he could have gone toe-to-toe during that entire sequence in episode 4 at the end.
Uh-huh.
He was just buying time for the kids.
Right, right. And you know he sacrifices himself, and I feel like they did a good tie together for us, because it wasn't something I had ever considered. But to know that he's beat Anakin a few times, and we get to see these flashbacks of him training him, so he knows what his weaknesses are, right? Because he's been there the whole time he's growing, and he knows how to get him, and he knows how to goad him, and he knows how to push him too far to where he can't think properly and use his powers properly, right? So Ben knows what to do, and then to think that he lets himself get cut down in episode 4, and you know he does because of the way they did the camera and stuff in episode 4. You know that he lets himself get cut down. But I like the way they give us that tie together of he's done all this and he knows what he can do, and it was kind of like, I felt like they then give us that tie together in episode 9, where it's Luke is doing the same thing. He's like, I've done everything I can. I've given all I can to the Force. I'm just going to give myself to the Force to help everybody kind of move on, and the next generation gets to move on, and I get to rest, right?
Right.
And so to me, I see all these tie-togethers. Maybe everybody doesn't see it. Maybe that's what I want to see. I don't know, but that's what I see.
But we also see the tie together with the new trilogy as well, because we saw Ben pull himself away from the Force. Mm-hmm. Luke pulls away
Luke
from the Force.
Did the same thing. Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even want to like refer to himself as a Jedi anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, because they've made life choices, right? Mm-hmm. They've grown, they've made choices, they've come up quite a bit disillusioned by the Jedi way, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, they're just like, maybe I'll just let it be. Like, the Force is fine without me, right? It doesn't need me. It'll be just fine without me, and I'll just let it go, and I'll just live, a normal life, I'll just live here. Ben's doing his thing with his weird camel that he takes meat to from the meat packing plant, and, he goes and checks on Luke, and, he's just like, I'm just here chilling, making sure the kid's okay,
He steals a bit of meat for himself.
Yeah, and he's like, and I'm okay with that because I'm tired, and I've done enough, and I've fought enough, and this is okay. And so that's why he's reluctant then to go help Leia, because he is tired. Mm-hmm. He's tired, and he's done, and he's human.
And he knows people are looking for him, too.
Yep. And I think a lot of people don't want the Jedi to be human, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they are. They have flaws. I mean, any good hero is built in with some kind of flaws
and it's the same kind of thing,
and
like how they don't like the latest Superman, or Henry Cavill Superman.
Right.
Just because of the fact that
he has flaws.
He has flaws.
Yeah. He has that humanity.
But when you look at it, the dogmatic view of the Jedi, it wasn't meant to be that.
Right.
They weren't meant to meddle with politics.
Right.
They weren't meant to be in war. They weren't supposed to be in war.
No.
That's not the Jedi way.
No.
It shouldn't have ever been the Jedi way. They allude to it. They're like, well, I'm not going to do this because we're not supposed to be fighting a war. We're not soldiers. But they kind of were.
But they kind of got busy. They're the United States. They put their nose in places that didn't belong. No, just kidding. What did you think of the Inquisitor being a youngling that had escaped from Anakin's wrath?
Oh, the third sister.
Reva.
So, no, I like that. I like that they did it. There were so many people that didn't like that at all.
Yeah, and I didn't get why they wouldn't have liked that. Like, I mean, I was appalled what happened to the younglings, especially after watching the cartoons. And Vince reminded me that the younglings that I love so much were soon to be killed by Anakin. And I was like, oh, gee, thanks. That was really great. I'm going to not watch this anymore. And I don't know if maybe they didn't do as good of a job explaining to us how she managed to... But she tells us, like, she hid among the bodies of her dead brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she did what she had to do to survive so that she could one day seek her own vengeance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a Jedi, you're not supposed to want vengeance. So it very much pulls her towards the dark side.
Right.
And we get to see within her as well that here's this fight within somebody else who has power, who
Mhm.
has potential, who, you know, would probably do better on the light side, but is going towards the dark side, and so they're conflicted. We see it, you know, time and time again. This good
History repeating itself.
yeah, this good versus bad, and I think it's a statement on us as a species, right? That's how we are. You know, we really want to do good. We mean to do well. Most of us. Some of us are horrible, but most of us want to do well, want to do good. But there's this anger inside of us sometimes. There's this vengeance inside of us sometimes. There's this frustration over the way things have gone inside of us sometimes. And we let that take control and we let it go too far.
Right.
And so that's the third sister, is she has let it consume her. To the point where she will do anything.
Just like Yoda said, consume you, it will.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's consumed her to the point where she'll do anything,
Yeah.
you know, even, you know, harm Leia, and until she gets to a point where she finally realizes, I have gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone too far.
And they give
Terrible
like
scene,
really
though.
great
Mhm.
flashbacks to show that,
Mm-hmm.
and just like the look on their face and the look on the older actress's face, you see the same thing. It's just like,
When she
It's-
starts to realize that she's become the thing she hated, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that they gave us that.
Electric Dreams says greetings and salutations.
Greetings and salutations.
Rukia says accurate. Not sure what that accurate was for.
All of it. Everything
All
we
of it.
say is always accurate. It's
Thank you.
great.
The problem with the character, though, they wrote her into a couple corners, though. That's the main problem I had with her.
Uh-huh.
Because the Vader scene where she fights Vader, they got backed into a corner. They had to let her live. No dark side person double taps. Have they not heard of that? First of all, like they stab, what's his face, the Grand Inquisitor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not, and like even Robert was like, oh, they can't let him die because, well, yeah, he's in the other stuff, you know. And it's like, okay, but how's he gonna live? Oh, look, he's fine. They stab her, and then they just walk away. And oh, look, she lives. She's fine.
Yeah.
So like,
But that's because of the dark side. It's because of the dark side, because it's the same
chopped
thing.
Her head right off her shoulders. If I was the Grand Inquisitor, I would have just taken her head clean off. Because like, think about it. Like, if you just got stabbed by this person and you lived, and yes, you're right. You're so angry you live.
Mhm.
Why didn't you go stab her too? Like, you let Vader stab her. It's like, you stab. You know what? I'm gonna stab you too. Like, you're dead now. Like, I would have taken her head off her shoulders.
Well, because there's an arrogance to the dark side as well.
I suppose.
So there's this arrogance of like, I've put you down and you're going to stay down kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
you're insignificant to me because I'm so awesome and I'm all powerful. So that is like kind of the trap. I mean, we even see
I
it like
guess
in things
so.
like Harry Potter with Voldemort, right?
Yeah.
There's
But-
this arrogance in evil. And I think they have to write that in. That's very tropey in all
Yeah.
things because you need some of these characters to keep going.
But if you look at through some of the lore in there, you'll see the Jedi and the Sith. There's a style that they don't adopt that one of the Jedi uses, and
Turn on and
the
off the
Jedi,
saber.
yeah, turning off and on the saber.
I've said that. I'm like, I would have done that all day long.
Yeah, and both sides refuse it just because they feel it's cheating.
it's cheap. Yeah.
Whatever. So does that
It's
make me
effective.
worse than a Sith then? Because I would be like, I don't care. I don't care if it's cheating. I would do it. I don't know what's worse.
But that's the thing; they have so much arrogance in them. They think that's enough.
And there's a
And to
certain,
kill-
even
and-
among the Sith, there's a certain honor, right? There's a certain, like, I don't know, like a Sith code, I guess, in a
Yes.
way. There's like an honor among thieves kind of thing, right? And so they'll do some cheaty things,
Yeah.
right? But then there's certain lines they won't cross. They're like, well, we're bad, but we're not that bad. We're not a-holes.
I guess.
I
And
don't
then
know.
It was like that part, and then
She was good. She wasn't the character I had a problem with. I had a problem with the other female character, and I can't even remember her name at this point.
The one who sacrificed herself.
Who sacrificed herself and stuff. Yeah. I felt like she was totally pointless. Like they just put her in there so we would have more girl power, and I felt like that was kind of.
Electric Dream says they had a solid background for Reva, but then shot themselves in the foot with a lackluster performance and laughable series of actions choices she made.
Yeah, and see, like, kind of touch on that too. The whole Luke scene, I didn't need any of that, and it was kind of dumb how, like Robert said, you can't let Luke see the lightsaber ever, because he doesn't know what it is.
Right.
So we're gonna do this whole, like, every time he's in the room, he's leaving with his back to her, so he never sees the lightsaber, and it's like, yeah, you're not wrong. And then he falls off the cliffside, so he never sees the lightsaber. And I'm like, yeah, they didn't need to do that. That whole part was corny. Yeah. But I agree with you, and I make fun of the rebel girl, like you said. I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name either.
But I even told Robert, they had a choke point. Why didn't we put the rebels in, like, a spot? 300? Did they not see 300? Like, choke point, right here. And we had grenades, obviously, so we could have just blown the whole roof off, and guess what? We buried a bunch of stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually she'll get through, but we slowed them down.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it was perfect, okay? But there were some things in there that needed some help.
But I think they were trying to get that out as quick as possible.
Yeah. But overall, I was really pleased with it. Overall, I'm less nitpicky of small things. Like, I'll notice it and I'll be like, okay, that was really stupid. But I'll just, like, change it in my mind. And it's fine.
Robert's comment, shoot a door, it opens. Shoot the door, it closes. Lasers do everything.
Lasers do everything.
I was like, oh, that's so true. They shot it and closed it, and then they shoot something else and it opens.
Anakin, leave Alana alone. She doesn't want all your kisses. My dog's trying to eat your child.
That's fine.
He does, sir. He wants to give her kisses. Yeah, he wants
to give her
kisses.
I quite enjoyed it.
Did you like
it? It's good overall.
I thought it was good, and I think because I think they're pushing for a second season on that.
I hope not. I don't know if I want it anymore.
There's a lot that they could do with it.
I mean, yeah, but...
I mean, we shouldn't see too much more of it. At this point, Ben should kind of be just there in the background, kind of hiding, just watching Luke, you know? I mean...
And that's the whole thing. You can't have too many more interactions with Leia because in episode 4, they act like they don't know each other. Or like she doesn't know him.
She knows of him, but she doesn't know him. So that's my thing, too, is... He really can't have contact with her anymore. Like,
yeah, but she's very young.
Right. He has to be a slight memory from her childhood. Right. And that's fine. That makes sense, right?
Right.
So I'm hoping this was a one-off where it was a series that was more like a very long movie.
Yeah.
Which is great, and I'll take it, and I don't need any more of it. That button things up nice and neat. I hope they don't push it to a season 2. And it felt like they were trying to push it to a season 2 by showing us the interaction with Luke. I don't want to see that.
No.
If you want to show Luke and Leia growing up and Ben's in the background, like, all the time lurking, all stalkery style weird or something. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, like Stalker 911.
But they can show what he's doing in the background while that's happening.
Like,
because Luke knows of Ben.
But, like, maybe
he doesn't have a connection either.
But maybe he's doing stuff to keep them safe, right? And we see, like, there are other things that come at them. But they don't know... And Anakin doesn't know in the movies that they're his kids. So they can't push us too far to the point where somebody's coming after these kids because the kids should have really been safe most of their lives. And unbeknownst to them
Luke's
or anybody else.
Because Anakin doesn't want to go to Tatooine.
Luke is safe because Anakin doesn't know. He doesn't know.
But he never wants to go there, so he's never going to find them there.
But you also can't have Obi-Wan fight around Luke either. Because if he sees a lightsaber, then it's going to make episode 4 sound weird again.
Yeah.
So you really, if he does fight, he has to have a blaster only.
But that's well, I'm saying they'll just have Luke in the background.
Yeah.
They'll occasionally go and see
I think they should just stop. I think they should just stop while they are where they are. It's great. We got to see it, you know.
I want more.
You want
I
more?
think the only way you could do it though is he has to go off world. He can't stay on Tatooine.
He
Obi-Wan
has to
leave.
be going off.
So that way you get no interaction with anybody.
And so maybe we get to see him like in the underbelly of the rebellion and stuff. I could take that as long as he's not. I don't want him near Luke and Leia anymore.
No, I don't want that.
He needs to
either.
not be near the kids anymore because then it ruins. For me, it ruins the rest of everything because he is supposed to be unknown to them. Their father's unknown to them, like their origins unknown to them, like. You know,
it needs to be one of those like maybe they fast forward a little bit where it's a little bit of an older Luke and he's like, hey, Owen, just saying bye real quick. I know maybe he comments like I've helped him a little bit here and there, but he's like, I gotta go. I got something to do.
Because
and
all
that's,
Luke knows is there's this weird old guy, who lives out in the
that
desert.
My dad knows
named
Ben.
somewhere. Yeah. So it could be easy enough to where it's like, oh yeah, like he sees like maybe he's giving him some supplies or whatever. He's like, hey, I can't help you anymore. Or, I gotta leave, and he sees Luke one last time, and then that's it. Like I never want to see Luke.
Like
again.
I never get to see Luke again.
Yeah.
So I guess I guess Electric Dreams didn't like it. Reva was just one part of the kindling that led to this dumpster fire of a show. I was really looking forward to this, to give this 1-2 with Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor coming back. I think they did a good job.
I thought they did a great job. Are there some holes in it? Yes, of course. There's always going to be some holes. We're always going to find something. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. One of the things that really got to me that I cried again at, I cried a lot at this, was when they mix Hayden's voice and James Earl Jones's voice.
Was perfect.
It was so good. I was like, that was so epic.
That was my favorite thing because it's a subtlety. And it was so
You had
perfect.
to listen to really hear that it was going between their voices.
And then it blends a couple of times where it's just both of them at the exact same time.
Yes. Look, it's giving me goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
It just killed me. It just killed me.
That whole fight scene was probably my favorite. And I think there's a meme out there with the Emperor and Vader. He's like, so you had the high ground, yeah? And then you threw the high ground at him. So who has the high ground now? Not wrong.
Not wrong. That was very much an epic fight, and I very loved it. And I felt like they gave us... That fight was super epic, and it gave me a little tiny bit of the feeling of the fight between Rey and Ben when they're in the snow, in the woods. That kind of aggression and anger and angst and I don't know, I got some of that. So I don't know if that was intentional for them or that was just me.
It was probably intentional because they're trying to pull all aspects from all the generations that have watched all of these movies.
Right, and they're trying to connect it. That's what this is all about, right?
It's
they're
a
trying
big
to
connection.
give us some better connections between all of the films and fill in some of the gaps that we had between the films, right?
Right.
So I think they did a really good job with cartoon series helping to fill in some of the gaps beforehand, and now they're doing some of these live action that are really helping us fill in the gaps. So I think one of the things that we were missing, and a friend of mine talked about this, was we were really hoping that when we saw Rhea, whatever her name was, and he's going about the younglings, we were really hoping they would show us something about Grogu. Because we're all assuming that Grogu was one of the younglings, but because he's so special... That's how he got put in the pod, maybe, or something, and they tried to protect him.
Well,
because he's one of the few of his species, right? That's available. So we were like, oh, that would have been just such a sweet tie-in if, in her memories or something, we saw the kids they knew if something ever happened, Grogu was supposed to be preserved or whatever. I don't know, right? So I would have liked to see that tied together. I felt like that was kind of a missed opportunity that they could have given us.
Yeah. Well, one thing I didn't get was the carbonite scene where he sees all the younglings and all the other people when he's in that prison. That scene did not pay off at all. So remember, Ben goes in there. I don't even think I remember that one. He goes in there and he's infiltrated the prison. And then he's walking on the bottom and he sees these people in orange.
Oh, all
amber
the Jedi that they had kept.
Yeah, and I was like, where's the payout for that scene? That didn't pay out at all. And I even asked Robert, I was like, are they in carbonite? He's like, technically no, because the technology's not supposed to be there yet. Because when Boba Fett does it, it's supposed to be experimental.
Experimental, they don't know what's going to happen to Han,
So he's like, so no, it can't be carbonite. And then it's like, well, then why did they do it?
Like,
What was
are
the
they
point?
are they using them for experiments or
Yeah.
something?
And
Like,
then-
was
Maybe
that a
trying to
whole
do genetic stuff.
like
Yeah.
genetics? Maybe
Clones.
like to make more clones, but have different kinds of clones with different kinds of Jedi.
Yeah.
So maybe that's an opening that they left for us
for
to
like a
do
season,
another
yeah.
season of Ben going and trying to like recoup these bodies and
Maybe.
give them a burial or
It-
whatever. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it just
I
hasn't
wasn't
paid
quite
out
sure
yet.
where that one was leading me, so it kind of got cut out of my memory.
Exactly.
bank, right?
Like,
I
it's
was
very
like,
forgettable, but it
Yeah.
was one of the ones like, where's my payout for that? Like, okay, you showed me all this, I understand it. It's not carbonite. Like Robert's like, no, it's not carbonite. Okay, well, what the heck is he? So I don't know.
yeah,
It's like, okay, they're in. And the other thing is, are they dead? Or are they alive?
right.
You don't know.
Right? You're like, I'm pretty sure they're dead from Order 66, but are they keeping them alive? Like,
Is this like a stasis lock? Like they're just
yeah,
like I don't know.
they're gonna turn them into a bunch of Vaders, like
Baby
give them
Vaders.
some cybernetic parts. Who knows? So yeah, again, there was a couple of little holes in it, a couple of things that
They're
didn't
gonna
pay out.
clone Force users.
Huh?
They're gonna try to clone Force users.
And that would make sense. That would be something and that's a very.
And that would be something that
They allude to this having some Nazi connections, right? We see that throughout, right? So that would be another one of those pokes at a Nazi connection, is doing experiments on their enemies or whatever, because
Yeah.
the Nazis did that to try to further their understanding and to make superhumans and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out if they make another season, and if they
Yeah.
do something else with it, that might be something that they.
I think
swing
they
back
left
and
it
visit.
open, but I heard that we're gonna see him again in Ahsoka.
Oh, that would be cool,
That would be fun.
Maybe
because
in,
they're
like-
kind of close too.
Yeah.
So that would be nice to see that. So I would take that. I would take seeing him in little cameos, like you said, if he had to go off world, maybe if he's helping with the rebellion a little bit. I would watch that. I would be okay with that. I'm just with Aaron. He just can't have contact with the kids anymore. And they're great, and they're cute, and Leia's wonderful. And if they
Yeah.
want to give Leia her own show, awesome. I'm
Yeah.
down. And we can watch her grow up and be a princess and get into little adventures and problems and watch her
Yeah.
grow up to be feisty.
Excuse me.
Or we can have, the twins, the
Mhm.
Wonder Twins. And we can have part of the
Okay.
episodes are Luke, farming. So exciting.
All I see is
He's just farming and being boring. Or he
Dad, whatever happened
probably
to that
like.
old guy. What's his name? Ben. Don't talk about him.
Don't talk about him, okay?
Back to you.
Maybe Luke runs away a few times because he's like a little rebel or whatever, and he
But
wants
we
to
could
go.
see.
and stuff.
Also, what I was really impressed with was the Lars. That they could fight.
Mhm.
They didn't just like when they killed them in episode 4. I'm sure they didn't just lay down
Right.
and just die.
They defended Luke and their place and their home, and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, remember that Star Wars is supposed to be taking some of that Wild West, right?
Yeah.
That Western kind of style. So I think you should always assume that
Right.
everybody has weapons and they're gonna defend themselves in this universe, because it's definitely that Old West style. And so and they are out there farming, and the Sand People are problematic for them. They talk about them, kind of roving and taking things from people, and they've taken, his stepmom previously when he's younger. So I'm sure that they had to know how to defend themselves from the Sand People. So yeah, all of that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got that. So I know some people were like, well, why are they so prepared? Well, they know that they have Anakin's child. They live out in this Wild West kind of area. They have to deal with the Sand People. There's raiders all the time trying to steal stuff from people. Yeah, they're prepared. Yeah,
They just need to
you
call
would be
Captain Marvel.
prepared. That's the way you would be.
So through that, they're farmers, but they farm water,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to see that, of course, in episode 4. That's what they do. And we don't really know that it's water. We know they're farmers.
Yeah.
We get
They're
to
like they're
see
farmers
that.
of sand.
That's what
and
I'm so.
we get to see that in the Book of Boba Fett, how they
Yeah.
have those water farms, and how that system works and what they're growing up they're doing, because they're probably just barely getting by selling this water for nothing, and somebody's getting rich off it.
Yeah.
Does he mean season 2.5 of Mando?
Season 2.5 of Mando, indeed.
Okay, making sure.
Indeed.
I don't know what this Boba Fett was, so I was confused.
You know, I really liked Boba Fett too.
It was, but it was still season 2.5 of Mando.
It was really season 2.5 of Mandalorian, which I had a couple of problems with that, but I did like to get the closer look at the Sand People and see kind of, you know, what their lifestyle was like and who they were, because there's always been that connection between them and Native Americans, and so to kind of, you know, get to see some of that lore and stuff, I thought was nice, and it was good. So.
Because you always assume, like from the first movies, that they were bad. All bad.
People want to call everybody savages, but that doesn't mean that they are, just because their
Right.
customs are different than ours. So I like that Star Wars kind of sometimes has something to say. Sorry, I'm very itchy and I'm on fire.
They didn't initially, though. They didn't initially.
No, but
say
overall,
that, yeah.
Obi-Wan was super great. It was good to see Ewan McGregor back. It was good to see Hayden Christensen back. People complained because they were like, well, why did they even bring him back for the little bits that they brought him back for? They could have just used CGI. It's better
Wow.
to have him as a
I
stand-in.
would have preferred a young Jar Jar to young Leia, at least that then the obnoxious cringe would have gone down better.
Oh, no. Leia was wonderful. She was great. I don't know what show you saw. You saw the wrong show. Because we saw a good show.
Stop going on the wrong hub.
Leia was fantastic.
You were watching it on Amazon.
Must have been. You watched it on YouTube and you only got bits and pieces of it or something. No, she was fantastic. She was very feisty. And you get to see that feistiness that then helps her grow into this feisty young woman that she becomes, that we get to see in 4, 5, and 6. So I thought that they did a really good tie together for us to see that. So I'm not
And then you get to see Alderaan, because you never get to see Alderaan.
Yeah. I'm
Because
not sure what
gets
Obi-Wan
blown up.
you watched. You watched a different one. Or you watched somebody who's really grouchy. I thought it was great. All right, Vince. It's time to go. You've talked too much.
So, yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I definitely say, if you haven't seen it, definitely take a look at it and check it out. I love all the tie-ins that they did with it, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But check it out. But thanks for checking this out. It's been really cool. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and thanks a lot, Aaron.
Geek out, SA.